Let's call ourselves to order. It's 7:01, January 25th, calling the school committee to order. And we'll do a quick walkthrough of the agenda, and then we will jump in. So first, we'll open up for any public comment, for anybody who may have public comment. Then we will continue our round of Focus on Excellence, and we have a few members of our 2023 state champion band and color guard team here, although I think maybe, I'm not sure which ones you're supporting, but at least the band. We have our consent agenda after that, and we'll move to reports. And Sachi's here to help with the student side, and we have the rest of the team here for everything else. After that, we'll move on to our new business, which includes an honorary donation for lacrosse, and our lacrosse coaches here, welcome back. We've had you here a few times, welcome back. Then we'll move on to the transportation contract approval, and finish up the open session with the FY25 budget final discussion and vote. And then finally, we will move from here to executive session, not to return, with the executive session focused on our paraeducators and our cafeteria employees. So with that said, we will start with see if there's any public comment. Any young members of the audience want to make a public comment?
Please don't.
I'm sure she'd have something good to say. Okay, then we will move on to our Focus on Excellence and the Fall 2023 RMHS Band State Champions. And Dr. Milcheski, you want to start with the introductions?
Great. We're thrilled tonight to be able to recognize the RMHS Marching Band and Color Guard State Champions. I think a lot of our members of our community have been following along throughout the fall season. But if you haven't, in the New England Scholastic Band Association, NESPA State Championship, they won a gold medal. And again, we're state champions for their performance of the 4 seasons of New England. It's the 3rd year in a row of a first place finish and division champs. And they also won first place in best visuals as well. I'd just like to share, like any state championship is a tremendous accomplishment, let alone 3 state championships back to back to back. What I think a high bar of excellence, and just thrilled, Mr. Mulligan, for your leadership and leading the community and the band to such great heights. And just thank you and congratulations. We'd love to hear a little bit from you and also from a few of our students as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm not going to talk too much about the championship itself. I'll let these 2 students do that. The one thing that I would like to say that I'm probably most proud of the group is just the amount of service that the students give to the community. It's one of the things that I think it's important to teach young kids to sort of give back, right? And the band, besides all the things that they do at their competitions and things like that, there's really a lot that they do that's in service of the community. Whether or not it's at, helping team spirit at the football games, at the pep rallies, whether or not it's with the veterans services during the Memorial Day parade, doing all of the veterans, different like Veterans Day things. We send trumpet players down to the elementary schools during all of that time, just all of the other things that the band does, the tree lighting ceremony. There's so many other things that we do, not just for us because we love to do it, but for the community themselves. And all of those things are not sort of like plug and play things. Like, these students spend a lot of time learning different music for different activities, right? We could be getting ready for a big competition, but yeah, that's right, next week we have this, so we have to take time out, have to learn this music, have to do all this. So I'm really proud of how the students have really taken to being part of the community, understanding that they're very proud of the community. When we go to different parades and we do different things and they're wearing the uniform, they know that they're representing Reading Memorial High School and Reading itself, and they take a great bit of pride in that. And that's really important to me, that they're proud of where they are, they're proud of the tradition, not just of Reading, but of the band itself, because it's been a very successful band for a lot of years. So that's the thing that I'm probably most proud about of the band themselves. I do have 2 students here. We have Elena Nichols, who is our drum major, and Bowen Lewis, who is the president of the band. So we're going to have those guys have a seat and just give them a couple of quick comments.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mulligan. Hi, so as stated, we were fortunate enough to have another successful marching band season. None of this would be possible without our staff members who work tirelessly to help us improve and get better. We have a fantastic band parents organization who helps contribute to funds and helps us prepare as well. And then also just all the hard work and dedication from all of our members. We had an entirely new drum line this year, which worked very hard to learn how to play their instruments, how to march as a drumline. And we also had a very big freshman class who worked very hard this year. And none of it would have been possible without the hard work and dedication from everyone in the bands. One of the things I love most about the marching band is that we don't have a freshman team or a junior varsity or a varsity. Everyone who wants to do it can come together and do it. So we make friends that are across all grades, and everyone's friendly and everyone's willing to help each other. And Mr. Mulligan has just curated such a fun, friendly environment that everyone enjoys being a part of.
I also want to talk about like how, as a drum major, I've been able to watch all the students just lift each other up and really become like, especially because this is the beginning of the school year. So even before the school year starts, these freshmen don't have anyone they know. But it's been really nice to see the upperclassmen really welcome them into the band before they had to go to school. So they always had a friend before they went to school and really started that friendship and really like created a family in the marching band. And that stayed so true as we've grown and started competing and everything. And like just the camaraderie between everyone is just so lovely, and I feel like a second family there. And it's really nice. And they really put in the work. Everyone is amazing, and it's worth it, yeah.
Great. Any comments or questions from the committee?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'd also like to thank you both too for your leadership, and you're talking a lot about culture, and I know that so much of that's built by Mr. Mulligan and the staff and the team, but also so much of that is built by our students too. So thank you for just your leadership and building culture. And I'd just like to, I think our community knows one of the absolute best parts of our district is the RMHS marching band. And I think this bar of excellence is, you know, Mr. Mulligan was saying, in the community and in competition, I just think is really incredible. So congratulations on all your accomplishments and successes, and best of luck to you both too next year as you're moving forward and carrying a lot of what you learned and lived out this year with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, really appreciate it.
And we're wondering, can we have a little picture with you
yeah.
two? Sure. You're more famous than us. So we'll
Not the two, we own all three. Mr. Mulligan's got to be in there as well. Sachi is our student member, got to be in there. You don't get off easy, do you? Somebody's got to have it. You got it? All right, there we go. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Mr. Mulligan, these two been in the old uniforms, they only got a year. No, so they would have been, but they were so here, we didn't wear. We did do a show and all that. So none of them see it. Yeah. No. No. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you all.
You.
It's what set off a fire alarm.
All right. It's always good to start off with such a focus. And now let's move on to our consent agenda. Aaron, do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Any discussion? Any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed, and it passes 6-0. All right, so we'll move on to reports. Sashi, let's get us started.
Okay, so we had a student advisory meeting today with Ms. Callahan, in which we discussed the Climate Change Club, which I'm co-vice president of, and we also have a bunch of members who are in student advisory. We recently met with the district facilities director this week and discussed action steps that we can take to promote the upcoming initiatives to raise awareness about new recycling and composting programs. We were told by Mr. Kevin, who is the district facilities director, that in about 6 months, they're expecting to bring composting to the high school, so it's important to educate students on what may be placed in the compost, recycle, and trash. So we're thinking about doing some presentations in Flex, probably posting something in the newsletter through Ms. Callanan. So yeah, and then we, as the committee, suggested the need for additional water bottle filling stations around the school and the field house. Principal Callanan met with the facilities department, and 1 to 2 new stations will be added to the school or field house before the end of the school year. The goal is to add 1 in the field house and 1 in the main building, and hopefully additional the next fiscal year. And then the committee also advocated to have bathrooms on Main Street unlocked during the school day, which they're now open for everyone to use. They're huge bathrooms. No problems have arisen yet. So we'll see how that goes. But I think so far it's just no one, A, knows about it, and B, the people who are using it tend to be more respectful. So yeah. And then the upcoming meeting with the committee will also provide Principal Callanan to help pick out new tables and seating for Main Street to replace the failing or repurposed drafting tables students currently use for studying, breakfast, and lunch. And the PTO is generously funding the replacement of these tables and some seating. So upcoming events, we just started the new schedule. I think in the beginning, students had a lot of mixed feelings about the new schedule when they saw it. At first, before implementing the schedule, we had a lot of negative feedback to say about it, and I think the way it may have been presented was probably a little bit intimidating to students. I think we kind of all fear change a little bit. But from what I've heard, I think students are adapting really well and actually reciprocating good feelings about the new schedule, even though it's been a big change. I know I, for one, really enjoyed having my study today during lunch block because I got an hour and a half of free time. So yeah, and then it's just some recent things where that report cards were published. There's going to be an early release for students coming up because of the new schedule. And then we have February break, obviously, around the corner. So yeah.
Great. Any questions for Sachi? Nope. Okay. So move on. Dr. Pinto?
Good evening, everybody. So I've got a few quick things. The first item I wanted to touch on was send a thank you to Catherine Franzetti of Food Services. We've started a breakfast cart here at RMHS in the morning. So this emerged from a discussion with the Wellness Committee. It's offered from 8 to 9 a.m. and it's designed to increase access and participation for students to food. And it's the best way to capture them is as they come through the doors. So right now it's a cold breakfast, but it's available to any and everybody. And we just started after MLK Day. I'd also like to thank the secretaries who had me to their meeting last week. So it's a great opportunity for me to build a rapport with them and to hear from them directly, as the face of our schools or the one of the primary points of contact for our constituents, just hear from them directly about their successes and their challenges, and then to furnish them with budget-related information and so on. And lastly, tonight you'll be voting on the FY25 Superintendent's recommended budget. And so I'd like to thank all of the contributors to the budget book as much as I would like to take credit for the whole thing. I think we had as many as 13 people had access to the document. So assisting in everything from content to proofing. And so aside from Dr. Milishevsky, special thanks certainly to Kate Finnegan and to Olivia Lejeune, who were critical in the completion of that document. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Milczewski.
Great. Just have one quick update, and this follows up to what Sachi was sharing around composting. So as we know, the school committee hosted the Birch Meadow Compost Group a couple of weeks ago to share about their pilot presentation. At that point, we had felt like we were kind of hitting a little bit of a standstill in moving this forward. Some of our other schools as a result mainly of costs. I think we've had some positive updates over the past couple of weeks that we think we're going to be able to move things forward quicker than we had anticipated. So I think that's just a little bit of a teaser, as Sachi was sharing, for something for the middle schools and the high schools sometime this spring. I'd like to think it's because, we kind of figured some things out with the town, but I think the Birch Meadow Composting Group helped kick some things into gear and help push some things that I think I really appreciate that student leadership, because I think it was a catalyst for getting some movement. So kudos again to that group who came, and I think you'll see the efforts of that pilot starting to spread out to our upper grades in the next couple of months.
Awesome.
All right. Any questions for either Dr. Pinto or Dr. Milczewski? All right, moving on, let's do the reports. Might be quick since we've all been in meetings back to back today. So Carla.
So big shout out last Friday to the Killam fourth graders who had their, I'm not going to remember the exact title, but they read some reports that they created. They were really unbelievable. The place was packed, and so it was really nice to see. In terms of Killam, the building committee, we are establishing community meetings and soon to let the community know what those dates will be so people can get them on their calendars. We're working on the website and have a solution. So hopefully we will be rolling out a website shortly. We have had some discussions on the change order process, both internally and externally. So we voted on and assigned a designee. So every time there's a change order, it's going to come and be approved by the Killam Building Committee. The recommendation by the OPM is that, especially during construction, when there is an unforeseen condition that cannot wait, we can't halt work and wait for a meeting to approve it, that we have a designee on site that can approve under a certain dollar amount, so under $50,000. And we designated the town manager and/or the facilities director to be that person for us, to do it in collaboration, or if only one is available, to do it that way. But that should be a few and far between, hopefully, situation moving forward.
John, question?
Was the appointment for the position of town manager or for Matt Cornellis specifically, and then we'll have to update it at some point?
No,
Just curious.
it was town manager. If you did it on purpose, we
thank
said
you.
town manager and head of facilities.
Great, thank you.
Okay, good. Any other questions for Carla? All right, Sean?
No report.
Aaron?
No report.
Sarah?
No report.
Chuck?
Recreation met Monday night. Nothing really school-related, but we did spend a good amount of time talking about pickleball. Thought I'd let you know that. And then Tuesday night, the SWEC, we met in a meeting that the select board had with Edge Sports, who was the only company that responded to the RFI. And it was more of a marketing piece presentation, and that got punted back to the SWEC. We're going to meet with them again and kind of drill down on this.
Okay, great. And in my case, no report. So let's move on. We'll start with our next new business item, which is lacrosse honorary donation request, discussion and approval. And Dr. Milczewski, would you like to do the introduction?
Great. So in the packet, you should see a note both from Olivia Lejeune and also from Coach Charlie Hardy. The note reads, Friends of Reading Lacrosse request permission to place a rock and plaque on the lacrosse scoreboard. The coach has talked with and received blessing from Mr. Zaya, the facilities department, and the rec department. And this is in honor of John Moon, who, in the words of Coach, has helped to change the direction of Reading lacrosse. So we invited Coach Hardy tonight here to come share a few words about the donation and also a little bit about John Moon and his legacy and why they feel that this is the appropriate way to commemorate him. So come on up. Probably easy if you sit on one of those.
Next to Carla. We just have to make sure the volume is turned down. He can come over here. That won't catch her on the video, so we'll need him over here.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. We're good.
Most of the time when I speak, people can hear me. They never needed a microphone to hear me talk. The superintendent asked me to say a few words about John. John, first of all, like myself, is a New Yorker, so we have a little quirkiness to us. I first met John in 1968. We played against each other in the high school state championship game. John would always remind me that they won the second half 3-2. Fortunately for John, we scored 10 goals in the first half. We didn't score any. Our second exposure was we met in junior college, And again, somehow we won by 10 goals again. So I hadn't seen John since 1970, and he showed up in Turf 2 one day and said, "Hey, you remember me?" I don't remember what I had for lunch. I don't remember you from 1970. He said, I want to coach. I want to help out. I work for the Herald. I do distribution for the Herald, and I'd like to help out. And I said, okay. And then he proceeded to tell me all the things we were doing wrong. And I said, okay, John, then you're going to fix those. What do you want to start with? He goes, face-offs. Coach, face-offs everything in this game. And for those who know anything about lacrosse, face-off is the game. If you watch any of the college games or the national championship game, those two guys who start with the ball face-off are usually on scholarship, big scholarships. And like playing, for those who know anything about lacrosse, like playing basketball. You score a goal, basket, you get the ball back. Well, that's how lacrosse is. So we've dominated teams through Reading, through John's experience, by getting the ball back constantly. You know, and that's how you win, and that's how you become successful. I have a couple of pictures if you all want to see it. This, you can pass this around. It's the rock. It's the plaque. That's what the plaque is going to look like. If you see it, it's going to be placed under the scoreboard that's out there by Turf 2, which Reading Lacrosse donated the money to buy, to purchase, and to install. It's a small rock. It's only like 2.5 feet high. It's this wide, so there's no safety factor of kids, jumping on and falling off, getting hurt. That's the rock. It has a little moon shape to it. That was why the De Benedettos and I and Kevin Mulvey picked that one. What else can I say about John? John was a volunteer here. He never took a dime. He was here for 14 years. As the assistant coach, it's easier to relate. I as the head coach, make decisions, as the superintendent has to do. The teachers get a different rapport with his students. As a superintendent, you have to make those mean decisions, who to play and who not to play. In your case, whatever. And that was my job. And John was very good with the kids. He related very well to them. As I said, he did everything he could do to help us. After 14 years, he needed a break. He moved to Florida for health reasons. Unfortunately, he passed away soon after. John was critical. If you ask any of the kids who played in those time periods, they, Moon, oh man, Moon, he was great. And, that's how he is, and that's how he was. I think this is a great tribute to him. We also are going to start a scholarship in his name, Friends of Reading Lacrosse, and the John Moon Scholarship. His estate, I can't say this, but his estate is going to give us a serious amount of money to donate to a Reading High School senior boy who played lacrosse and will go to college. That hasn't been worked out yet. I'm working with Lynn to get the final details. I tried to contact her today, but that'll also happen.
Great, so thank you for that presentation. Dr. Milcheski and I traded notes on this. There's, as a thing outside, there's really no policy we have for this necessarily, but we essentially agreed to follow the process we did for the Veterans Memorial out front, and for, if you remember, the bench that was installed over by the football field as well, which is have the presentation, vote on the presentation, and then, have the installation done and come back and just kind of show us the pictures of the final installation and stuff like that. So that's the process wise. So, but if anybody on the committee has a question for Coach or any other concerns, now's the time to raise them. The one concern I had was making sure that the rock was not in a field of play, and obviously the picture clearly shows that it's not in a field of play. And it's clearly not huge either, so.
We walked around with Mr. Zaya, the rec director, and the facilities, and just said, where's the safest spot we could go? And we could see lacrosse, and that's where we ended up deciding to go. Yes, sir.
Charlie, will there be a ceremony or?
There will be eventually, when we get in, probably in the springtime. I talked to facilities, and they said, why don't you wait till the spring and do that? There are many people who would like to come, alumni from our school, plus his friends, who are going to donate to our charity. John was a character. I'm sorry to use that word.
okay.
When you talk to him, it was like, really, John? Come on, you know?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Aaron, do you have a motion for us?
Motion to accept the lacrosse honorary donation requests.
Good enough.
Okay.
Seconded by Carla. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And it's accepted.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so we will,
Excuse me, Jim, 1 second. Those 3 kids in the back are adorable.
you can blame Tom for that one. Okay, thank you, Charlie. Okay, so we'll move on to transportation contract approval, and I think we'll just turn directly to Dr. Pinto on this one.
Thank you very much. So as you may or may not be aware, the Reading Public Schools current student transportation contract is expiring in June of 2024. And so with town guidance, a request for services was drafted and publicized in accordance with their procurement requirements for a new 3-year proposed contract of services. There was one respondent to the request. You'll find the bid summary is in your packet, and it's recommended that the school committee approve this bid for the services, as it was the lone response to the competitive bidding process. But we have had a lengthy, successful relationship with the vendor.
Any questions from anybody on the committee?
Just one, Dr. Pinto, the current rate, does our current contract have escalators? I can't recall, or did we have a flat rate across the 3 years?
Just aware of the last year of that contract,
Yeah,
which is this current year. The new contract does have escalators built
Yeah.
in year over year.
Yeah, I guess my reaction was I thought this would be worse, to be honest, so.
Chuck, go ahead.
Dr. Pinto, I think I know the answer, but because we only got the one bid, that's because they're the only ones, right? I mean, really, that can handle it? Or-
So they were the only one, the vendor was the only one that chose to respond. So we did receive several requests for the bid documents and farm them out to a number of providers. This was the only vendor that elected to respond.
Aaron, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I just want to understand what I'm looking at when it says price per bid. What regular bus is what we charge families for, the service we charge families for?
That's actually the cost to us per day, per bus.
Right, but the regular bus, it's referring to the buses that we,
Yes, that's
okay. So we have room there to increase the charge per family?
we do.
Okay.
We do. Those rates will need to be looked at, given that we've had a series of increases, or will have a series of increases from the company, and escalating costs with regard to labor and fuel and insurance and so on.
Okay.
Something that needs to be relooked at.
But the other ones up above, we fund, like Metco is funded through the grant. We don't charge.
That's correct.
Okay. And then athletics is presumably funded through the
Athletics budget.
revolving account, and field trips is typically funded by PTOs. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion?
Motion to accept the new transportation contract.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? And it passes 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Pinto. And we will now move on to our FY25 budget discussion and vote. Any final comments from anybody on the committee? Any final questions for Dr. Pinto or Dr. Milichewski? Or anything else anybody wants to say? We've all been there for 3 weeks. We're good to go. All right, Aaron, let's go. Give us a motion.
Motion to accept the fiscal year 25 budget. Second.
Seconded by Carla. I'm not going to ask for further discussion because nobody had it before. So all in favor? All opposed? And it passes 6-0. All right. Congratulations, gentlemen. All right. Okay, so now we'll move on to our executive session. We will not be returning to open session, so this is one final motion for open session.
Sorry, my printer failed. Motion to adjourn, motion to adjourn and to executive session and not return to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, Reading Para Educators Association and Reading Cafeteria employees, as the chair deems that an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the Reading School Committee.
So seconded by Chuck, I so deem. Roll call vote since we're going to executive session. Carla?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Sarah? Aye. Chuck? Aye. Tom? Aye. And we're adjourned from public session.